Why do you keep speculating in a space like this? Written scams and ruggers and things. Damn me if you're getting liquidated by pretend inefficiency and the useless tokens like this. Why don't you quit all that and they give you your bags and shout that there's some money? Shit till it's just a lie. It's just a real call. I can do say how I be. Deep in your eyes, embrace the light. Come let's hang around under the light. Have it for you, embrace the light. Finish on my way, so look at the light.
Embrace the light, motherfucker.
Welcome to the Lite Hour live stream. The Lite Hour live stream is a Litecoin dedicated live stream that we host on the Flipping Finance page every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 5 p.m. EST, except the final weeks of each month, of course, which I take to, I don't know, relax, detach, and just get away from the whole crypto thing. But today, of course, we have a very important episode, a very special episode, because what we're going to be doing for most of today is reading tweets and looking at people's sentiments. And of course, we're going to be bringing up the charts a little. And I mean, the charts look terrible, bro. Like Bitcoin just absolutely destroyed 2021 all-time highs, which is actually something that is like, I don't know. Nobody, or at least nobody that I know, was expecting that to happen at the start of the year, especially, you know, last year, right? Towards last year when everything was going up, or at least Q3. No one's expecting this to happen. But it's happened, right? And the markets look terrible. Everything is tanking. XRP is down 20% today. It is ridiculous how things have crashed so brutally. And right now we're like at the edge of a cliff, right? We're on the edge of a cliff. Things look very bleak. And of course, we're going to be going through all of that. Also, we're going to be doing some Litecoin updates. I believe that's what we're going to be starting with. Even we're going to be looking at Litecoin updates because there are some things that have been happening that are worth talking about. I mean, we're going to be going into that. I think that's what we're going to start with. And then we're going to go into, you know, looking at whatever on earth is happening in the charts. And then we're going to be going to X, and then we're going to be looking at people's comments, you know, seeing what they're talking about. How many people are already freaking out because of where we are in the markets, of course. So we're going to be doing that. So if you're just joining us for the first time, if you're joining on YouTube, of course, you got to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you're joining us on X, you should go ahead and follow the page so you do not miss the Lite Hour live stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 5 p.m. EST. So guys, today we're going to be starting with something very important. Of course, before I get into the show itself, I have to show you guys 84 million, of course, because the merch I'm wearing today, and I know you guys can't really see it. And give me 1 second. I'm going to adjust the quality, the sound of that. All right. I know you guys can't really see what I'm wearing. I'm going to stand up so y'all can see that. Okay. It is, of course, the uh Genesis blocks, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Dogecoin, and of course, you know, I got that from 84 million. And if you want to get cool Litecoin merch, if you're interested in Litecoin or you actually dislike Litecoin and want to see it go to zero, then at least you can get a cool Litecoin merch so you can clown your friends when Litecoin finally goes to zero. So you know where to get that. 84million.com/shop. That is the place to be. And you can see they've got really cool Litecoin hoodies. They've got really cool Litecoin tees, and they've got really cool Litecoin. I don't know if this is sweatshirt. No, that's a hoodie. Okay. They've got and Litecoin hat and other things such as stickers and all the rest. Of course, if that's something that tickles your fancy, then they're 84million.com/shop is definitely where you should go get your Litecoin merch. All right. I believe that's it about that. So we're going to be going straight into the first thing we want to talk about today, which is Litecoin updates. And you guys have to give me a second so that I adjust these templates. Okay, right, that's better. Okay, so we're gonna be going into Litecoin updates, and I'm gonna have to pull that up because there's one important update that I saw was posted by, of course, the Litecoin Foundation. And it was something about Litecoin getting to 350 million transactions, which is insane. I mean, 350 million or 375. Okay, I have to bring that up. I think I'm just saying that off my head. I'm not sure I particularly remember very well unless I bring it up. Okay, I'm just going to bring it up. 1 second. Oh my God. Okay, that's it. It's here. All right. Boom. And this is it from Litecoin Foundation. Litecoin has surpassed its 375 million transaction. Litecoin just surpassed 375 million transactions, having hit 300 million back on January 8th, 2025. Clear proof that usage is accelerating, LCC. This is very huge, actually, right? Because we surpassed 300 million transactions back in January 2025. So that's January 8, 2025. We surpassed 300 million transactions for the first time. And from January 2025 to now, which is about, I don't know, beginning of February, just within the span of a year, we've already added an extra 75 million transactions. That's a lot. That's a very, very, that's a lot. I mean, Litecoin's been around for 14 years without a single downtime, 14 years of reliable, just consistent network reliability, just churning transactions out of transactions. And of course, we've been able to do 300 million transactions within the space of the first 13 years. And then the 14th year, we're able to do 75 million transactions. That is actually sizable. That just shows that the Litecoin network continues to grow regardless of what is happening outside. And Litecoin is one of the only, if not the only coin that I know of that continues to watch its adoption go up regardless of market fundamentals. And that's one thing that makes me always positive about Litecoin, because Litecoin is just one of those coins, if not the only coin that I know of, that the fundamentals never break regardless of market conditions. Fundamentals just never break. And I'm gonna bring that up, of course, so we can visualize what that looks like, from a platform that does keep accurate records of all of this transaction data. All right, so we're here. Here's the tab. So you can see this is the Litecoin historical transaction chart, or Litecoin transactions historical chat. And you can see that ever since the very beginning, back in 2011, which is October 10th, 2011, October 13th, 2011, when the network went live, we've always grown in adoption. You cannot see bear market in this transaction chart. What you can see is, of course, you can see, sometimes we have a spike in speculation. Of course, network activity goes up for a while, but then it usually plateaus and then it finds a stable base. And that stable base is essentially where there is actual interest in the network itself for its monetization demands. So where people are actually coming to the network and saying, okay, we want to use this to do transactions. So filtering out the speculative noise and just taking it down to people that actually want to use Litecoin as money. Because again, this is in fact the best growing monetary network out there that is decentralized and proof of work. So, not the other proof of stake, whatever. I'm talking about proof of work monies that are decentralized and were fairly distributed. Litecoin has been growing more than any of them. And you can see that consistency as Litecoin's been staying consistently above. And where was January 2025? So January 2025, this is 5th of January 2025, we were having about 190,000 transactions around then. And you can see how stable the transaction count has essentially been ever since then. We've essentially been having, of course, peaks and troughs, because basic human behavior. There are times it goes a little higher, it goes a little lower sometimes. But you can see that generally we've been pretty consistent. We've been pretty steady in this range, and we can compare that to something else. Let's look at it, Doge, for example, and then we can just relay Bitcoin, of course, the king of all the alts, king of all the cryptos. And of course, we're gonna relay some. Let's relay Zcash and Bitcoin Cash. What else is relevant? Okay, XMR is relevant. And so we can just find our way to, okay, this chart is looking a little messy just because there are lots of variables on it. So we have to narrow that down to a select region. So let's start all the way from the inception of Litecoin, because of course, Litecoin is the basis of comparison. And we can see Litecoin essentially, okay, I think we need to come a little close. Now, by the way, the one that is purple is Bitcoin Cash. So there's a lot of noise in that transaction data. You can see it here. And, it's kind of like distorting the entire thing. So I have to zoom in to 2025, right? January 2025. All right, this is much clearer. And so we can essentially see a pattern that is very, okay, we've got someone here. Oh, Master, yo, scoop up LTC here, historic buying opportunity. Yes, absolutely. Litecoin is a steal. I'm actually expecting Litecoin to go a little lower because it benefits me. I don't want to sound smug or anything. I understand. I'm always conscious of the fact that we have holders in the Litecoin community that have been here for much, much longer and actually have in fact been holding, have much, much higher average, purchase average purchase price or whatever that is. And so I'm always cognizant of that, and I try not to be too negative or try not to wish doom on the charts, because of course that's not going to be fair to them. But if the charts are going down, it kind of benefits me because then I get cheaper Litecoin. Nothing's broken about the fundamentals. This is just peak capitulation happening in the market that, in my opinion, is tied to a lot of things, right? We have a lot of people that are worshippers of the 4-year cycle, and who were in sort of like denial towards the end of last year about whether or not the 4-year cycle was still going to hold. And these people are finally capitulating right now because, of course, why wouldn't they? And of course, we have a lot of things that are happening. I think a lot of it is just happening with people are selling. There are a lot of people that are throwing speculations around Jeffrey Epstein's association with Bitcoin and, the industry and whatnot. But personally, again, I don't see that as being meaningful or having any meaningful impact on the price of Bitcoin right now. And I think what people are actually associating that, the association and people are making between those connections and the price action are just, in my opinion, feels like confirmation bias, right? It's like people are finding reasons to explain something. It's just how price action is always gonna be, people are always gonna find reasons why something is acting the way it is. That's why narratives follow price and not the other way around. And you're considering Bitcoin has essentially survived I don't know, the entire negative stigma that came around the whole Silk Road era, when it was literally called the coin that was being used for only criminal activities, buying of hard drugs and whatnot that was going on in Silk Road. It has survived that. It survived essentially everything. And I mean, what's happening with these files are incredibly, terrible, like in ways that, Jesus, it's, bro, beyond what the conspiracy theorists, in my opinion, were saying. But again, I don't think that's really affecting the market, and I don't think that really affects Bitcoin long term. It's a protocol that is controlled by mass and code, and it's the same with Litecoin. So it's just this. Maybe that is happening now. Maybe we're seeing some effect of people exiting because of that. But in my opinion, that's more of a self-fulfilling prophecy as opposed to being like a reason. The main reason that's been driving this sell-off we've been seeing. But yes, $50 Litecoin is just cheap. It's absolute stupid cheap. It is as cheap as it comes. Like there's literally free Litecoins everywhere. So like, what do we want more? Even free, cheaper Litecoin, in my opinion, is better, because I kind of want cheaper Litecoin. Yeah, but that's beside the point. It's extremely cheap, and you can see right now, right? Just looking at the fundamentals, going off the fundamentals, what's going on in terms of network activity. You can see that ever since for a very long time, but just looking at the dates, just going off the date in the previous post that I was talking about, you can see Bitcoin is sort of like averaged around 430 something thousand transactions. So it's kind of like oscillated between 350 and 500 and something thousand transactions, with Litecoin being the green line that is just second, that has been pretty consistent around 170,000. So between 170,000 and 220,000, that's where Litecoin has been pretty consistent in. So you can see that very strong demand when it comes to like monetary use. And yeah, that's just what Litecoin's been doing. It's just working. It's working perfectly. And what's better is that Litecoin works regardless of the price, right? Litecoin is not one of these protocols that get abandoned when the price does not perform well enough. Litecoin just continues to work. Even, you see the adoption even go up more when it's cheap, because like then it's cheaper for people to even use it. So yeah, that's a very, very in my opinion, one of those things that just makes you understand that doesn't matter what the markets are, what Litecoin's going for in the market right now. It's just ridiculously cheap. We're insanely lucky to even be getting these valuations. And yeah, fundamentals strong as ever. You can see Dogecoin is the one in red. Of course, Dogecoin, it has the spikes it goes on. I believe these are usually very tied to when there are spikes in price of the coin, and so you see a lot of that activity that's going on. But besides that, it's generally stock below 40,000 transactions, and you can see that what's the one on Block? That's Monero, somehow below Dogecoin. It's kind of like stock below 20,000 transactions. So between 16,000 and 22,000, that's Monero is the one in blue, and then the one in purple is Bitcoin Cash, which is even more underwhelming. Kind of like sitting, a lot of time it's somewhere between 9,000 and 12,000 transactions per day. And you can see that low dip in Bitcoin Cash, which is just recent. You can see that low drop and Bitcoin Cash's transactions. And of course, Zcash is perhaps the least utilized of all the proof of work coins out there, which is pretty ridiculous when you consider just the speculative mania that just happened in Zcash, and how people just essentially ran to the chain and just went, oh, Zcash is the next thing. You can see all that spike. I mean, the spike kind of helped Zcash push above. I mean, Zcash was doing about 2,500 transactions per day before, and you kind of had the speculative run up, and it's kind of like held consistently above 6,000 transactions per day, which is pretty neat. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just I mean, it's nowhere as utilized as Bitcoin Cash. Talk more of Monero, talk more of Dogecoin, talk more of Litecoin. And with the trends going on, okay, I have to turn on Zcash. No, I have to turn on Bitcoin Cash because it's very noisy, and perhaps because I want to show the all-time chart, I'm going to turn on anything else that's a little noisy as well. Okay, Dogecoin appears a little noisy, so I have to turn that off. And so we could just compare Litecoin, and you can see Litecoin versus Bitcoin in particular. You can see that Bitcoin is sort of like plateaued for a very long time, while Litecoin has just been on a steady growth level. You can see that it continues to climb and climb and climb, and they're very close to each other when you look at it using the log scale. A lot of people look at this chart and then they use the linear scale, but like you don't really see the full picture when you look at the linear chart, because like it doesn't really show the growth that was happening in these periods. And we're talking about an exponential chart, so a lot of that data is just lost when you're looking at it using the linear chart. So you have to look at it using the log chart. And when you look at the log chart, you see it very clearly. You see a very clear path of growth for Litecoin, which is the one in yellow. And it's essentially gone to a point where the next wave of speculation on Litecoin will definitely send it above Bitcoin when it comes to transaction per day. It would actually become, monetized more than Bitcoin. The next wave of speculation is going to hit Litecoin. And I don't think it ever reverses. I think Litecoin becomes the dominant monetary network for everyday use, for monetary activities, when the next wave of speculation hits it. And Bitcoin, I don't think Bitcoin ever recovers that title again. So that's just one of the things. So if you're some people are gonna say that these metrics do not matter, because of course, like, why would it? I mean, it's not really attracting speculators. But then you have to think about it, right? Does it matter that there are coins that are actually censorship resistant and are, actual hard monies? Does that matter? And if that matters, because now I'm seeing, people that are talking about this more. I'm seeing a lot of top influencers that are essentially talking about, crypto has to go back to first principles. Some people even say, how I wish we could get a Bitcoin that is just like Bitcoin, but without the drama, and is actually being adopted more, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, when you're seeing these conversations happening, it's because, like, unlike what people continue to tell themselves, the very fundamental reason why Bitcoin should exist is still relevant today. Bitcoin, the reason why Bitcoin exists is because we were looking for a censorship resistant form of money that can be able to, resist any form of control or takeover or any of that nonsense that's going to happen, like, a central authority, and cannot be shut down, essentially. Now we're moving into a world where geopolitically, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to be the global power or what's not going to be the global power. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of wars everywhere, but domestically and internationally, things aren't particularly rosy. We're not living in a high trust society. And in my opinion, we're not even moving towards the direction of a high trust society, a high trust global society. You see in the World Economic Forum, people saying that globalization is dead. And, essentially, we're having the framework of the entire global system break down. We're watching the entire framework of the global system break down, and you want to tell yourself that it will not matter that we get a censorship resistant money that can actually be used neutrally by all parties. Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that such a form of money will not be necessary in a world that is progressively devolving into a low trust society? If that is what you're going to tell yourself, then of course you're going to say to yourself that these metrics do not matter. You're going to say to yourself that it does not matter that Litecoin is growing in adoption. You're going to say to yourself that Litecoin is trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. But that just shows a lack of understanding about the topics that matter, about, where we are geopolitically and just the state of the world in general, and a lack of understanding of the exact problems that Bitcoin was created to solve. Yeah. So essentially, this world we are in, there's a strong demand for coins like this. There's a strong demand for monetary networks like this. There's a strong demand for assets like this. And once the whole speculative bubble that has been surrounding these other forms of, in my opinion, I call them luxury use cases, the whole POS coins, or we're going to build on an app for scanning grandma cats on the blockchain. When all of that is all, said and done, when it's all cleansed out, we're going to see people return back to the exact reasons why Bitcoin was built again. We're going to be seeing people going back to monetization. And if you're gonna be able to make a prediction, right, that which one of these coins that are proof of work and censorship resistant monies that cannot be controlled or shut down by any entity, which one of these coins can actually has a solid shot at becoming the dominant form of money in future, should they be needed in this uncertain world that we're moving into, this increasingly uncertain world that we're living in, then the only way for you to know is for you to go to the blockchain stat to see which one of these coins is actually getting adopted, which ones are getting adopted, which one of them are getting monetized, which one is getting the most monetization, which one has been growing more consistently, and which one looks like it's on the path to becoming the most widely used of these other coins, of all of these coins. And that's going to give you your answer. And it's pretty clear right now that the one coin that is winning this race right now is Litecoin, the one in yellow. It's currently growing at a much faster pace than Bitcoin. It's growing at a much faster pace than the others. And of course, it's at the point where it's very close to overtaking Bitcoin. So yeah, you just gotta this is the things you just gotta understand. There's information that can really help you see that not only is Litecoin alive fundamentally, is thriving, and the value gap between the actual growth that's been happening to the chain and what the market is actually trading these coins for, it's ridiculously high. So every single price you get Litecoin at is just a crazy discount. So yeah, that's essentially it. That's what I want to say. So yeah, you can see that this update, Litecoin just surpassed 375 million transactions. It's a pretty big one, and it's pretty legit, and actually carries a lot of weight because of the implication behind the things that I've just discussed. So I believe that's really the Litecoin update I want to share. Is there now the Litecoin update? And by the way, y'all should go follow LTC Foundation, Litecoin Foundation page. These guys do a very good job when it comes to making Litecoin updates available. And there's less memes on this page compared to the main Litecoin page. So of course, there's you get to see what's really happening pretty efficiently. Also, there's this nice article. And we're seeing more and more crypto journalist platforms are now talking about Litecoin. I mean, you can see Topper made a post, and Topper, by the way, they're not small, right? This guy's 10,000 followers. It's not small, by the way. What do they do? Buy and sell 250 plus cryptocurrencies instantly. All right, that's cool. I believe it's a platform for buying and selling cryptocurrencies, of course. Duh. So look at that. So new to crypto or just interested in Litecoin, here's a quick breakdown of what LTC really is, how it works, and why it still matters in 2026. That's an article that I believe they wrote about Litecoin. So yeah, we're seeing more and more of these people talking about it, and I believe this is also another one from Being Crypto that I'm just showing right now. You can see that. So you can see from Being Crypto, Litecoin LTC returns to multi-cycle low as new demand emerges. And essentially, you can see that, right? Litecoin LTC has dropped nearly 60% from last year's peak and has returned to the lows seen in previous market cycles. Despite remaining one of the more liquid altcoins, LTC has struggled to overcome markets increasingly negative pressure. Okay. However, several signals suggest that demand for LTC is still present. This may not lead to an immediate price rebound, but it provides support for Litecoin to endure and wait for a recovery opportunity. So that's interesting. So, okay, I'm looking at this tag, sponsored. What is that supposed to mean? Is there an ad that's supposed to be there, or is this a sponsored post? That's pretty interesting. I don't know if this is a sponsored post, but those sponsored tags are pretty interesting to see. But yeah, I'm seeing more and more people talk about Litecoin. It's pretty nice to see, actually, and not just these guys. And so we're gonna be looking at the chart. Charts look absolute trash, right? So trigger warning. I showed it before finishing my trigger warning. Okay. Anyways, by the way, this is it. This is the charts here, bro. This is Bitcoin. We essentially crashed all the way to, we crashed below we've not had a weekly or monthly close below 2021 all-time highs, but the fact that daily we actually got below it, that's pretty concerning. I am not even gonna lie, it's pretty concerning, and you can see that if we just zoom that in. So I have this put right at the tippy top of the 2021 bull cycle, and so I have to expand that, and you can see that little week on the weekly. So I'm going to expand it to the daily. Let's look at that. And you can see that we had a little spike below. If I even take it to the 4-hour, it becomes clearer. That was absolutely terrifying to see that we weak below that and got all the way. And by the way, the top in 2021 was about 20 something, no, 67,067. And yeah, we're currently trading about 63,914. Of course, we haven't had the daily close, but considering the daily close about an hour and a half away, we're essentially guaranteed to be closing the daily below 2021 all-time highs. So I'm gonna be expecting that we have a very big scare candle after that. That's my prediction. We probably touch or get close to 50 something thousand within tomorrow or the day after. Pretty soon we touch those levels, in my opinion. That's what I'm anticipating, by the way. And so you can see that we are waiting for the daily close. Essentially, if we see the spike, okay, I'm just gonna have to look here. Yes, we had multiple daily closes at, oh, we even got all the way to 69,000. Interesting. So we got very close to 69,000 in 2021. So we had multiple daily closes above 66,000 in 2021. That's pretty interesting. What's that? What's the close? The close, we had a close of 66,900. And so yeah, essentially, point is we're below all-time highs, which is pretty. It's not very strange. I'm not gonna lie. I remember last bear market, right? And I was having a conversation while whilst we're dumping, and I believe we're getting closer to the EMA, and essentially we were here, just bouncing above here, about 30 something thousand, and essentially the what he said was that there was not a chance that we were gonna break the weekly EMA, this bottom part of the weekly EMA. And there's not a chance Bitcoin was ever going to go below its all-time highs, which back in 2017, the 2017 all-time high, I believe, was 17,000 thereabout. So 17, 18,000 thereabout. But yeah, we did. We found a bottom somewhere, something like 16,000 in 2022. So I'm not surprised again that we are. And by the way, that was the first time, if I am recalling properly, that was the first time Bitcoin actually went below its all-time high, its previous all-time high in the bear market, if I recall properly, right? So essentially we went down about 20%, about 18% below the all-time high. So we can see, okay, we have to measure that accurately. Look at that. So I'm trying to see how low we got. This does not seem to be the most accurate measurement. I'm just going to add some for variation. All right, I added some for variation. So yeah, pretty much about 20 something percent below all-time highs. That was where we actually fell to. And essentially I'm expecting, I'm not going to be shocked if we get the same thing, right? That's what I'm expecting to happen. And yeah, like I said, we've not done that before. 2013 all-time high was about 1,000. We never got there. Even when we had the COVID scare, it was about 3,000. We bottomed, and then we just shot up entirely. And yeah, the all-time highs in 2011, of course, $23. Of course, we never saw that again. And yeah, we're seeing it again. And it looks terrifying though. And part of the reasons why Bitcoin looks particularly terrifying in my opinion is the fact that, we've got to 100,000. I feel like there's a lot of sentiment around like, okay, is there anything more to Bitcoin? Yeah, there are a lot of people that are calling for 1 million, but like there's not a million is like, we're talking about $11 trillion market cap, right? There are more people that were seeing $1 trillion market cap as achievable than there are people that are currently seeing $10 trillion market cap as achievable. And that's just the truth. Just the truth of the matter. And people are just, there are a lot of people that are feeling like, okay, there's not much left in this tank. And I saw I saw a video where Peter Thiel essentially made that remark. He essentially said that he doesn't think there's a lot much, left. There's not much left in the tank for Bitcoin in terms of like upside. And I mean, this is a guy, essentially 100,000 was what he said. He said, yes, go to 100,000. I don't know if there's anything much left in the tank. There's a widespread like belief amongst a lot of like old BTC whales, like that, people that really believe that there's not much left in the tank. There's not much gas left in the tank. I mean, not really waiting for a million. You're taking profits. They're done. You're done. You're taking profits. And so essentially, it wouldn't be surprising, because then when you take it to the monthly, of course, you can see the EMA ribbon. It wouldn't be surprising. I mean, we're kind of like in the mid-range of the ribbon, right? We're at the orange band, essentially. But it wouldn't be a surprise if we come all the way back to the blue band. Maybe we have a little bounce, stay above this a bit, and allow this blue ribbon to catch up before we continue. Or we just crash back and find our support somewhere here around 50-something thousand. It's not going to be scary to, it's not going to be out of the picture. Again, it's still going to be part of a broader uptrend, but we'll see. That's a very strong possibility with the way the market is currently set up. And another thing is the impulsive nature of this bull cycle. It was not like the last one where we could see that inflection, that euphoric inflection. And of course, not like the last cycle where we could see an even bigger inflection. You can see that essentially we just went up, for essentially 2 years. I mean, this is a year and a half. This October 1st, 2015, all the way to December, I believe, 2017, just straight up, upside, and we just kept blasting. A year and a half, in my opinion, year and 4 months, or a year and 3 months. Yeah, not a year and a half. And yeah, what did we do? We did 20th of where the upside really start from here. July to March. So it wasn't that explosive, and of course we're seeing even more diminishing returns in the cycle. So yeah, probably playing. There's a lot going on, actually. I'm just saying. So the chart looks very scary for Bitcoin if you're looking at it from the altcoin perspective, because Bitcoin going from 63,500 to like 50-something thousand is not like too scary for Bitcoin on its own, but like MK says, I love the title. Yo, thanks, man. Yeah, it's not too scary for Bitcoin on its own, but like, if you think about what it's going to do to altcoins, then you really start to wet your pants, because of course, like, Bitcoin doesn't wet the bed alone. It literally carries everything else with it. And you can see what this whole Bitcoin wetting the bed has done to our precious LTC. It's essentially just taking us down. But this has been a situation we've been expecting. Of course, this has been a worst case scenario I've been hinting at. I mean, considering the fact that we saw LTC silver break down and LTC gold break down, and I'm like, okay, there's a possibility that we might break down against USD, and it's just good that we mentally prepare for situations like this. And I said that back in December, when we're kind of like crawling at the edge of this. I said that's what it looked like it was going to happen. It's just good to mentally prepare for it, even if you might not positionally prepare for it, of course, because sometimes it could all just be a fake out. And yeah, essentially is what we're getting, right? We're finally breaking down. I don't see this breakdown. I don't think it ends anytime soon. And this is just my personal opinion. I'm not trying to be like doom and gloomy. I'm just trying to be realistic. I don't think it ends anytime soon, because like Bitcoin is going to continue pooping the party for as long as it can. And maybe this might be the bottom signal. Who knows? I might just be the bottom signal. Me finally becoming bearish, just like the bottom signal. But long term, you understand that every single Litecoin you get below this cumulative range of interest is not just cheap, but is basically free. So the spooky part of this Litecoin chart is the fact that we had the monthly close below this accumulative range of interest, and more importantly below this very long-term support that is essentially held for about 8 years now. And that was the spooky part. We had that monthly close below it, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, this is it. It's over. We're dying. We're crying. Ah, we're gonna sell it all. We're gonna get $10 Litecoin or $6 Litecoin. I've seen people call for $6 Litecoin. $6 Litecoin is gonna get gift. You know what it will mean that we get $6 Litecoin and like the network is still this strong? I think someone's just gonna scoop up like, I don't know, $600 million of Litecoin and like get like 100 million coins. Like that's not gonna make sense, of course, because like it's more than the market cap. But like that's just ludicrous. I don't think it happens. I don't think it ever gets there. If it does, oh my god, that will be generational. That will be generational. But yeah, essentially, look at that. It's just, we've broken this down. We've had multiple weekly closes. We're probably gonna close this week below it. So how far down can we bleed? I mean, pop a Bitcoin. And by the way, Litecoin's been holding up very well compared to like other things like XRP. XRP has just puked. That's all. XRP is vomiting. It's vomiting real bad. Like XRP just fucking pukes. It just vomits all over its chart. Like it's losing a lot. It's like, oh my god, I need to bring up XRP. I think let's bring up XRP and look at the chart. XRP, it just pukes. 20% down, the other day. I'm like, what? And I believe that's today, right? 20% down today. It's kind of like down, a lot more than the other coins, like it, recently. I mean, long term, it doesn't still look too terrible, in my opinion. It's like, especially when you look at the fact that it's just finding this lower EMA ribbon, it kind of looks okay. But essentially, besides that, like, bro, this is essentially, it's at the verge of giving back everything that it's gained in this run. It's like, I mean, imagine, oh boy, it's tough, right? It's tough. It's probably gonna crash a little more. But yeah, when it comes to like over the past like month, let's look at it. What's XRP down by on this monthly candle? So it's down 27% this monthly candle. Let's look at LTC. What is LTC down by in this monthly candle? Where are we down by? I'm gonna go ahead and guess 15%. I don't really know. Oh, 13%. Look at that. XRP is down about 27% this month. LTC is down about 13% this month. There's just not any real sell pressure in this Litecoin, chart, in my opinion. It's just like, I mean, yeah, positions are, we're probably having a lot of algorithmic positions just selling off. And besides that, I don't think there are really any LTC holders willing to sell off their positions. And the market is just reflecting that, because like it just refuses to drop that much. And I expect, just because I said it, I expect this to drop further just to throw me. But if it drops further, I don't know. I don't have any targets for it. I don't think it drops further. I think it finds a bottom somewhere, probably goes down a little bit, maybe 30 something bucks is possible. I know I've said that. I'm not really like sure it's gonna happen. If it happens, it's gonna be very good, but only for me. But yeah, that's what I think should be my worst case scenario, is like 30 something bucks. It's gonna coincide with this level, essentially. It's gonna coincide with this level, so it's gonna look something like this. So maybe we're retesting this range, kind of, I guess, it's probably gonna look like. Which, yeah, it's kind of spooky to look at, right? But yeah, it's a legitimate possibility. You have to consider it as well if you're considering every other thing, right? Yeah, so it's probably gonna look something like this if we drop that low. So you can just look at that, right? So if we do end up dropping there, then I don't know. Can we make the case that this is an ascending broadening wedge? No, it doesn't. No, that doesn't make any bit of sense. But yeah, it's a possibility we drop to these levels, and yeah, it's just something to watch, right? We can just zoom this into the weekly. We see that there They're, that's usually a price point that is of significant interest when it comes to whales. Like whales are pretty interested in those price levels. And yeah, we can see, okay, maybe it drops here. You can see there's a lot of interest, a lot of cumulative interest in the 40s. Let's see, only time will tell. But yeah, 30 is very real possibility at this point. There are a lot of people calling for it, but it's a very real possibility. But I see 40s being more I see a lot of Litecoin being bought up very well in the 40s, because you just see that historically, there's a lot of interest there, and maybe we see a wick to like 36 to destroy anybody who's trying to long the market. But essentially, we're gonna see. It's all gonna play out. I don't know how this bottoms. It looks very terrifying, especially when you're looking at it again from the position of Bitcoin and you're seeing what Bitcoin is doing, and Bitcoin does not look like it's about to calm the fuck down anytime soon. Looks like it's about to pee the bad, yeah, in an even crazier way. But yeah, ultimately you look at that and you're like, whatever. Again, the best thing you can do is just be mentally prepared for every scenario. It doesn't hurt to be mentally prepared, and it doesn't really call your loyalty to Litecoin into question. It's essentially just you being smart and trying to protect your emotions, because the markets mess with a lot more than your balance. Of course, it messes with your emotions, because crypto is one of the most emotionally charged asset classes in the world. It's like very heavily powered by sentiments. A lot of people are just very emotional about it, which is a very wonderful segue. Very nice way for us to go into the next segment of this, which is, in fact, we're going to be looking at what people are saying on X. We're going to be looking at sentiment. So sentiment watch. So essentially, we're going to be looking at what people are saying. Now, when I do sentiment watch, a lot of time, what I do is that I just search LTC or Litecoin, and then I search posts, and I kind of like scroll through the posts and see what people are saying. But IMO, that's not one of the best ways to see what people are really saying, because like, especially the negative comments, like not a lot of people that are like making negative posts per se, right? Not a lot of people that are making. Oh my god, did I even show my chart when I was talking about this chart? Oh my god, I really hope and wish to God that I was doing that. I really hope and wish to God. Was I showing? Is there anybody here? Was I showing my chart when I was talking about the market? Oh my god, was I showing the chart? Oh boy, I feel whatever. Move on. If I didn't, yo, sorry. That would have been very clumsy of me. I'm gonna have to go watch the replay to see if I did that. Anyway, sentiment watch. So yeah, this is essentially Lucky Luciano. He made a post. So yeah, what I'm gonna do for today's sentiment watch is I'm gonna be looking at the comments, because the post, of course, a lot of people that are posting about Litecoin. We're talking about perma bulls, right? Those are perma bulls. A lot of us that are still posting about Litecoin, and the people that are really bearish and how people really feel, they're not really making posts. They are doing more of comments. So like when you want to watch the sentiment, you want to look at the comments of charts, especially bullish chart. What are people saying? What are the responses to the bullish calls for Litecoin? That's how you're gonna know what the sentiment really is. And so you can see this. So yeah, of course, Lucky made a post. LTC is trading in the golden area, not a financial advice. Interesting. You can go down and you see that, of course, Master Litecoin is a smash buy here. Very nice. And Master posted divergence chart and all that. And we got Peter Coast saying help. What the fuck? Hey, yo, that is funny as hell, boy. That is funny as hell from Peter Coast. Like, and you can see Boogie Graveyard, how to say you're new to crypto without saying you're new to crypto. Bro, nice. So let's see who's positive here besides Master. Wonderful opportunity, not gonna fall any farther. That's who's gonna tell him. Who's gonna tell him, bro? What do you mean it's not gonna fall any further, bro? You're gonna learn. Yo, LTC can fall a little further. The chart just doesn't care. It's not desperate to prove anything. It's not desperate to pump. It's gonna do whatever it wants to do, bro. It's got to know that. Um, Wonderful opportunity. Yes, not gonna fall any further. You can't tell, bro. I'm staying away from charts today. Bro, what the fuck? Hey, yo. 4 days I lost 28%. Super. I'm interested in how long it will go up until I touch my bot price. No, you did not lose 28% in 4 days unless you're trading leverage. Because LCC is only down about 13% a month. We actually did go into that when we're looking at the chart. So that's not something I'm very eager and believing in. But yeah. So let's look. So LTC does look like a classic accumulation zone, but in my experience, these only play out when BTC and overall separate sentiment corporate. This looks like AI. When I see people write this whole LTC blah 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 blah, I just think, bro, this is AI. I'm not like, there's a lot of AI comments. Like AI has destroyed comment sections. Like sometimes it's not easy for you to know what really is like real people commenting and what is just fucking AI slop. Let's send this. Woo! Let it go higher. LTC trading where smart entries usually happen. Interesting. So that's from Binge. LTC is trading in the golden area. Key zone to watch for potential support or reversal. So that's from Grace, not financial advice. Interesting. So golden zone. Let's see how it plays out. That's from Lingua Critically. What the hell? Anyways, LTC poised for significant. Oh my god, this is all AI slop. This is AI. This is all AI. Golden area in the chart. LTC gets maintained, bro. Like all of this AI nonsense. Get the away from here. LTC. Oh boy. LTC. Oh boy. AI. It's just all of this is AI, and you can see it. LTC will melt faces. Like, bro, come on. They're all saying the same variation of the exact different variation of the exact same thing. Are you winning? Watching closely. LTC. Absolutely. Send it, bro. All of this AI comments, get away from here. I'm looking for something real. Okay, these spots often decide whether you get a reversal or just another lower high. So what is the peak verse? What are you guys? You guys real? I don't know. Looks like AI to me. LTC where risk reward sort of makes sense. If this is real, yeah, it's pretty solid. But the deep, interesting, nice. But the deep. Thanks for your service. Ye that bought the deep. Thanks for your service. So like that's it. Amount in USD 1,980. Whoa! Price at execution 53.39. That's a generational one. Holy fuck! Like 37 Litecoin at 1,980. That is an absolute steal. That is an absolute steal, in my opinion. That is an absolute steal. That is pretty nice. Up only from here. I wouldn't say that. Time to keep an eye on it. Interesting. Send it higher. How many of these things are AI and how many of this are real? The future looks bright with LTC. Zainab fam, bro, 1 follower. Where's this from? Sounds like a Nigerian name. Zainab. No, it's not. Oh my god, it's a Muslim name, not Nigerian. I'm so dumb. LTC 4 digits. Yay, send it. Yeah, LTC 4 digits. Yeah, I'm real. There's still some positive stuff. Delete this shit. Oh my god, exciting times ahead. Analysis on say please. No one cares about that. Wonderful. ICP LTC, nice. Anyways, that's pretty nice. I mean, yeah, there's not. I mean, I don't know how many percent of those people are actually AI and how many of them are actually real, but like sentiment is not like zero, right? It's like I'm still seeing some people that are positive. It's interesting, actually. It's interesting to see that number of positive sentiments. But yeah, I saw help from Peter Costa. It's pretty cool because like this is a community member, so of course I know them. That's pretty funny. So let's see. Chris and Crypto. I know Chris did say something about he made a statement I want to look at. We're gonna be ending the live in about 7 minutes or 8 minutes. Yeah, in about 8 minutes. So if you're still here, of course, shout out to you. You're an absolute legend. I don't know why you're still gonna be here because no one is. So Chris on crypto. Let me see. Is that still his name? Chris on crypto? No, Christopher LTC. I believe it's Christopher LTC. Oh, Shiba. Christopher LTC. Yeah, let's go. Christopher LTC. Yeah, Chris on crypto. Why wasn't it showing? Yeah, Christopher LTC. You can see. Okay, he made a post. There's an interesting post, I think, really. Okay, let's look at this. Another thing I noticed on the weekly, LTC is egregiously oversold and undervalued. My feed is full of greedy calls for another 50% drop. Nice. So Chris is still very positive. I like that. Chris posts a lot. I really like that. So you can see that divergence in the RSI and what? It's pretty nice. There's something else he posted that I really want to look at. The amount of ongoing attacks this network has endured despite having an immense positive despite having been an immense positive in this space. Tech-wise, via its deployment of SegWit and MWeb and as a means of payment and emergent competing SOV with BTC is hard to put into 280 characters. Yeah, for real. I believe this is the thread. Let's look at it. I'll do it for Chris. This space has faced headwinds on every level, and the apps files have painted a bullseye on many who, until the last few days, held a high degree of trust. No more. The idea that a free market reigns has all but disappeared, given the staggering number of compromised individuals. Interesting. The files aside, LCC has been targeted. The 1010 dump, where prices whiplash 50% in under 1 hour, showed that casino operators are hostile towards the OG big Bitcoin ethos, which Litecoin embodies wholesale. This is because sound money stands in opposition to their business model. So we're back where we started. Can't trust a single one of them. Minimize trust, learn self-custody, and verify into before getting involved. Use this time wisely, and if you are a first principles kind of guy, even Satoshi left to do other things at some point. Bro, I'm gonna say this is so real, and honestly, I'm gonna use the remaining 5 minutes here to kind of like make a claim. 1010 flash crash was a targeted attack against Litecoin. The October 10th flash crash was a targeted attack on Litecoin. I'm gonna prove that. Let's look at that. I'm just gonna try to do that in 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Where is 1010? And you're gonna see there's only one coin that was about to make a bullish breakout. In all the majors, right? Only one coin was about to make a bullish breakout, which is Litecoin. And I need to change this to the daily so you can see that. So October 10th, this was the October 10th crash. Look at that. Now, again, we're going to look at this. This was the previous high Litecoin had set August 25th. And you can see that we got close. You can see that we started pumping the day before, and we started pumping even harder. And we had just breached the August 25th top that we'd set, and we were about to go full blast and break this resistance zone. We're about to go test this resistance zone and blast through. And of course, just magically, out of nowhere, we saw this crash. We saw this massive crash all the way down to 50 something, where we've currently come to feel. Now, what is extremely interesting is that this is unique to Litecoin. Let's look at other majors. No time for too much talk. I don't have enough time here. Let's look at XRP rather, not XMR. Look at what was happening on, before October 10th. October 10th, XRP was already on a downtrend. Look at that. XRP, oh my God, I will have to borrow a little more time. XRP was on a downtrend. So when come October 10th, what happened with XRP? Right? Look at that. It was not about to break out. It was not about to break out. It was already breaking down. And it was already like on a downtrend. So it just flash crashed, right? Now, let's look at Ethereum, right? Another major, Ethereum USD. Let's look. October 10th, where are you? What was happening with Ethereum on October 10th? You can look at it. It was not about to take out any high. It was essentially just falling. It's literally been falling like day 1, 2, 3 days before October 10th. It had rejected this, resistance zone pretty brutally, actually. And, for the fourth time, essentially 1, 2, 3, 4. And I believe I called that. And then October 10th happened, right? Okay, let's look at another one. Let's look at Chainlink. And I'm really hoping that I find one that actually like proves me wrong, so that I can say, okay, maybe I'm just a, whatever. I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But look, again, it's the same thing that was happening with XRP that was happening to Chainlink. Chainlink was essentially on a downtrend prior to October 10th. So when October 10th happened, it wasn't trying to break out. It literally just crashed, with the rest of the market. Okay, that's not all. Let's look at what's another major. Solana. We're going to look at Cardano. We're going to look at XMR. We're going to look at Doge. Solana, where is it? Where are you? October 10th. Where was the October 10th crash for Solana? Barely, bro. No, this is Trade Nation. This does not have enough data. Doesn't even have the Solana USD. Where are you? Crypto.com. I'm looking for the crypto. Bro, Solana USD. I'm supposed to search for So USD. Solana. All right. This should have the October 10th incident. Look at the October 10th. Again, the same thing was happening with Solana. It wasn't on its way to breaking out of anything, right? If anything, it was repeating the same pattern that we're seeing, that we saw in XRP and Chainlink, where it was essentially making lower highs and already going down. And you can see that it was going down in the days preceding the October 10th flash crash, and then the October 10th flash crash happened. Cardano, we don't have much time. We're at the point where we should end this. Cardano USD. Look at Cardano. It's the exact same fucking thing. Sorry that I had a cuss right now. It's the exact same thing with Cardano. Okay. Now, Cardano was again already on the descendancy. It was going down essentially, and the flash crash happened. Nothing special. What else? Dogecoin. Go look at a few more majors, and I'm going to conclude, and then that's going to be the end of the stream. The same thing. Prior to October 10th, Dogecoin was already in a downtrend. It was already crashing down. It was going down, and then this flash crash happened. You can see that on October 10th. One more major in my mind. Anything. What is a major? Monero. What was happening with Monero? 1010. Okay, 1010. Okay. Yep. Monero was already on an uptrend, and you can see that. That's pretty impressive of Monero. So only Monero and Litecoin seem to have been on the trajectory of an uptrend, and then the flash happened. And but Monero recovered pretty quickly. And by the way, I would have said Monero and Litecoin were probably targeted, but Monero is not being traded on any major exchange. It's not being traded on Binance, right? It's not being traded on Binance or on Bybit or any of the main cryptocurrency exchanges, not on Coinbase or any of these other places. So like, I can't say it was targeted by these cabals or whoever the people that manipulated that market are. I can't say they manipulated Monero, but by God, Litecoin was breaking out. Like, this is so, even if we could see that it had this little fractal where it was kind of like first going down against, for a while, it broke out of it. Came back, tested it, and started springboarding. It was ready to roll, got all the way to 135, and absolutely, it just out of nowhere, it happened at the point when Litecoin was about to break out. 1010 happened. You can remember when Litecoin was about to break out also earlier, the president of the United States, a day before inauguration, launched his meme coin, absolutely tanked the market. More crazy shit like this just happens as Litecoin is about to break out. So now, of course, there's no way to substantiate this claim beyond speculation. So I'm going to sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist by saying this. And of course, I'm not claiming that this is an objective truth that I have any means of verifying to you guys, but it's pretty clear that it is not totally logical to have the suspicion that Litecoin was in fact the target of October 10th, 2025. The flash crash orchestrated by Binance that has been reported to be one of the heaviest market manipulators in the world of crypto, at least. Yeah, they happen to just have the algorithmic glitch, so conveniently the very day Litecoin was about to go test very long-term support. Yeah, pretty convenient. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. This is the end of today's stream. Shout out to you if you're joined. If you're still here, bro. What are you doing with your life, bro? go do something else. Go hang around with family, or I don't know, do anything else other than spend so much time looking at charts. It's been a pleasure once again. The Lite Hour live stream is a Litecoin dedicated live stream we host every Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, 5 p.m. EST on the Flipping Finance page. Of course, if you want to join the Litecoin conversation, you know where to be. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, albeit last weeks of each month. I've been your host, Raphael, and this is Flipping Finance. Subscribe on YouTube if you're joining YouTube. Follow the page if you're following X. And with that, I'm going to be saying this is the end of the stream. I'm going to be saying bye-bye to every single person. So cheerio.